must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR, Truth Frequency Radio.
From the biggest little city in the world in the clear blue waters of Lake Tahoe, broadcasting from an undisclosed location in the Truckee River Valley on Truth Frequency Radio, this is the Awakening Liberty Show with Sean Carone.
If you came to prove, there's no reason to prove. Yourself something funky.
Well, good Sunday afternoon to everybody. Welcome to the Awakening Liberty Show right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Real people, real radio. I'm certainly one of those. I'm definitely just a real person out here trying to spread the truth and raise awareness as to what's really going on in the world because it's absolutely off the hook crazy. Got a good show for you today. We're going to have Elana Freeland on the show. She is the author of the book Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. Really looking forward to talking to her. She's got an interesting background. She comes from the 60s, and she's been researching her entire adult life on alternative issues. We're going to be talking about MK Ultra, ritual abuse, and again, HAARP and chemtrails, and what we see going on in the skies. I mean, what is going on in the skies? Like, and I got to mention this. Over the last 30 days here in northern Nevada, which is where I live in the Truckee River Valley, I haven't seen a trail for nearly a month now, which is definitely, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I actually talked to Dane Wigington a little bit, and he said part of it has to do with atmospheric conditions. I'm not so sure about that. I have all kinds of respect for Dane. He's obviously in the global warming camp, which I am not, but we're going to talk with Elana about that today, too, and try and figure out what is going on in our skies. Real quick, I want to mention the Awakening Liberty Show website, awakeninglibertyshow.com. Stop by, say hello, check out my stack of truth. You can also check out some of my previous shows and a full calendar of events and guests that are coming up on the program. I got a book schedule booked all the way out till mid-October at present. We're going to have Dr. Kent Hovind on the show, Ron Johnson from Stranger Than Fiction News, Gerard O'Coleman. I'm really looking forward to interviewing him. Also, next week, Bill Bean will be on the program as well, the spiritual warrior. So we got a lot of great stuff coming up on the Awakening Liberty Show. Really appreciate all the support and love that you have all shown me here on Truth Frequency Radio and all of my social media networks as well. I can't express the gratitude. I mean, it's amazing. I'm still like going, why am I even doing this? But this is where I ended up. It seems it was put in my path. So also, while you're at awakeninglibertyshow.com, be sure to check out the L.A. Marzulli special listener offer on Watchers 10 Nephilim hybrids, and he's got some other stuff included into that package for a great price. I believe it's only $39.99, but it's like a $100 retail package. So look for the L.A. Marzulli special listener promo, and check that out as well. Also, I want to thank David Christensen. He is from DC Web Designs, and I'll give you a heads up. The awakeninglibertyshow.com website is going through a major overhaul. DC Web Designs, basically the business website designer for the small business community at www.dcwebdesigns.net. Again, that's www.dcwebdesigns.net. He's doing a fantastic job on the site. I've been looking at it for the last couple of days as he's building it. I'm going, wow, this is great. It's going to be very, very interactive, and I'm psyched for the new website. So stay tuned. We're going to probably launch that towards probably the end of September, early October. I want to welcome everybody in chat. Good grief, we got a big crowd in there today. Irish Pete, Angie, Bill, Brandon. Brandon, big shout out to you, man. Thank you for supporting the show, and you too, Bill. Charles Calvo, Flapping Crow, Fabio, Zella, and more people will be joining us here, I'm sure, soon. So you can also join us in the chat room. So if you're listening to the program, log into your Facebook account, to your Twitter account. Real simple to log into the chat room and join us, especially if you got questions or comments for Elana, which I'm sure we will be coming up. Oh, and okay, me too just joined the conversation as well. Welcome to everybody. Also want to welcome everybody who may be listening on IPMNation.com, WLIR Australia, and the Pyramid One Channel 2 network. And just unbelievable that I'm actually being carried on 3 networks. But Truth Frequency Radio is my home. I love all of you. And Irish Pete, I say hello to your son Callum as well. I love that name. In fact, that was one of the names I was thinking about when my son Liam was born. I've always loved that name. So hello. And let's see here. What else we got? Social media. Follow me on Awakening Liberty Show, at Awakening Liberty Show on Facebook. You can also check me out on Twitter, at Awakening Lib. That's at Awakening Liberty. And then check me out on YouTube, Awakening Liberty Show, at Awakening Liberty Show on YouTube. And we're almost at 1,900 subscribers now. It's just blowing up off the hook. Crazy. Much love to you all. And you can check out a lot of my material there and a lot of the things I've done. So check me out on YouTube. Also, please support Truth Frequency Radio and get a subscription today. 50% of your subscription actually goes to keep Truth Frequency Radio completely ad-free on the site, and it also allows the hosts to get paid a little bit for what they do, because 50% goes to TFR and 50% goes to the hosts. So you can log in, get your subscription. It unlocks every host, We have just done some amazing things to the audio. The show we did yesterday sounded absolutely amazing. So please support TFR. And before we get to Elana here, because she's standing by on the line, I got to talk about something that's been bothering me for a while. And I saw a post on Facebook the other day that made reference to it. What I'm talking about here is advertising tracking AI, or artificial intelligence, and the cons of consumerism. Folks, we are trapped and embedded in this consumerism. And I say consumerism because much of this is a con. I'm tired of it, particularly. This planned obsolescence. All they want us to do is keep spending more money. They make products that break within a year or 2 years, and you got to go buy another one. I bought a guitar amp. Within 3 years, the thing was broken. It was just a little practice amp, but I mean, come on. I bought a faucet a year and a half ago. $100 faucet. It's already trashed. Maybe I should have gone and bought the $500 one right off the bat, but it seems that this is becoming more and more prevalent in the consumerism that we are all engaged in. But anyway, this lady was actually asking people, she posed the question, she says, has anybody else noticed that when they are talking about something or even thinking about something, a product that they need, a service that they might require, she posed the question that she wasn't even near a computer. She wasn't anywhere near a computer. And she had mentioned to a friend in passing that she needed something. When she got home to her computer, she had emails for those products. She had ads on her websites that she was browsing. And I'm glad I saw this post. There must have been 100 comments on it. Because I've been thinking about this for about a month now, because I've been experiencing this as well. And I'm going, oh man, am I losing my mind here? I'm not going to say anything to anybody because they're going to think I'm insane. For example, just the other day, last week, I mentioned to my wife that I needed to get the oil changed in our Sienna. Now, she was sitting by her laptop, which has a microphone in it, but for the most part, we keep our microphones off. And maybe I did say something on Skype. But next thing I know, I had 3 advertisements for coupons for oil changes in my email. Every website that I went to, the Google AdSense and the ads on the web pages was referring to oil changes. That's spooky. We are being watched. We are being tracked. And it's being done voluntarily. And we have gotten into this participation into this wacko design. It's very concerning to me. Everything we say on Skype, everything we do on Google, our chat rooms, our private messages on Facebook and Twitter, they're all being monitored largely by these huge business corporations. If that doesn't concern you, then I think you might need to step back and take a look. Just go read 1984. It definitely concerns me. And we live in a world now with smart cards, smart weapons, smart buildings, smart transportation, smart phones, smart appliances, smart TVs, smart grids, smart ID cards, smart cities. I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. In the mid-'80s, there was an acronym released by a personal growth organization for SMART. I had to go look it up because I started thinking about smart. We're surrounded by all this smart stuff. And quite frankly, I call these smartphones dumb phones. SMART, the acronym, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Now again, this refers to personal growth. But if you look at the overall picture of what's going on in the world and these wacko, odious sycophants who have hijacked most of humanity, you kind of look at that in a different light and start connecting some dots. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. I feel that this is relating to the end game. Now, I kind of came up with my own acronym for SMART, social monitoring and remote tracking. Smart cities. This is becoming all the rage. It's being talked about everywhere. I mean, this whole smart thing, can we smell Agenda 21 here? I mean, if you can't, then I would refer you to the Plexiglass Abdominal Implant Research Institute because you got your head so far up your backside, you're going to need a windshield to see where you're going. The end game is in play. We are being tracked and monitored at every breath. A smart city is an environment where literally everything you do and say can and will be monitored because everything and everyone will be attached to a complex grid of sensors and wireless networks. With your particular smart city, wherever that may be, acting as the platform on which that grid is maintained. Ladies and gentlemen, Stack and Pack is on its way. For whatever nefarious and diabolical reason, it's coming. And what's amazing to me is people are going to flock to these smart cities in droves. Begs the question, why? Because they're being touted as ecologically sound, environmentally friendly, green, if you will, when the only thing green about them is the amount of greenbacks it will take to live there. Now, contrary to the hype, these are not going to be cool places to live. These are techno traps loaded with all the gadgets one could possibly want right at your fingertips, basically to entertain you, to detain you, if you think about that word a little bit, entertained, to separate you from God, to separate you from the life that we really have here, the beauty and the love in life. Again, techno traps. And they're going to be designed specifically to lure one into that trap, into that tyrannical state. You might have everything you want there, but the one thing you're not going to have is freedom. You're not going to have liberty. But who needs that if you have the latest Android phone or iPod, huh? I personally don't use smartphones. I don't like them. I call them dumb phones. So as I look at society, I got to ask the question, what are we actually going to gain by paying for the privilege of allowing someone to monitor our every move and every bit of energy consumption and decide when we've simply had enough and are cut off? I mean, we see them now denying water to protesters. And you tell me, I can't think of one good thing. Unless you're a part of the elite wacko psychopath crowd that support Agenda 21, there is a smart goal in effect right now. There is an agenda of complete tyranny being enacted and perpetrated against humanity. Again, smart, social monitoring and remote tracking. Let's get smart, people. Be the change you want to see. Stop participating. Choose freedom and not enslavement. Don't be dumbed down and don't become a zombie erectus. I mean, I go to the restaurants and I watch people, 10 people at a table, and they're all looking at their dumb phones. Wake up. We have to wake up. Especially we're looking at these elections. But we don't have elections in D.C. We have auctions. It's a polyarchy. It's an oligarchy. We have corrupt, pandering politicians who don't do what they say they're going to do, but they're doing what they're told to do. Let's start voting with our dollars. Let's start breaking these corporations. Stop buying GMO foods. Stop buying dumb phones. Stop Stop getting smart meters on your house. We refused ours. We're in a neighborhood with 420 homes. We're the only one here that doesn't have a smart meter on our house. To me, that's smart. Let's get smart, people, and reject social monitoring and remote tracking. That's enough out of me today. My Sunday rant went a little long. I want to bring Elana Freeland on the show today. Her book, Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. Elana, are you there with me today? Elana, hello?
Yes, always when I turn that mute on, I forget.
I do the same thing.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Sean.
Oh, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. I got to admit, I haven't read your book, but I've heard a lot of stuff about it, and I've been a little swamped here. My wife finally went back to work, and I'm playing Mr. Mom on a full-time basis, but what a blessing that is.
Yeah, is he sleeping now?
Actually, he should be sleeping, but he's not. He's occasionally he'll take a day where he says, no sleep. No sleep.
Yeah, that's freedom, right?
That's freedom. No, absolutely. So, Elana, your book, we're going to talk about that a little bit today, but I want to kind of focus on who you are and your background a little bit. So introduce yourself to all the audience and tell us what it is you do.
I've been a writer for many years. As you saw in my bio, I also was a teacher for many years with an emphasis on Waldorf education, which I supported by helping to start 4 schools here in Washington State. And the reason I did that, it's tied to everything else I do in life. I wanted children to have a childhood. I didn't want them to go immediately into kindergartens and first grades where they have to conform to sitting at a desk and learning the 3 R's pretty much too early. So that was part of my idealism for childhood, and it actually helped to heal some of my own wounds from a very accelerated childhood in which I graduated high school at 16. I also have written all those years and before for alternative publications on alternative issues, those that don't get enough play in the mainstream media, or when they do get play, it's usually filled with lies and various angles of deception. So I've been political since the 60s. I am a child of the 60s, and I was involved always in my school newspaper, wherever I was going to college. I moved around quite a bit. That was the name of the game in the 60s. And I had been awakened, in a sense, to the political through John F. Kennedy's assassination. The summer before he was assassinated, I was chosen by my girls' state, which is a form of mock government on a state level for girls and there's boys' state. And they had chosen me to represent them in Washington, D.C. at Girls Nation. So I had the great honor to not only be the mock librarian of Congress, but to have tea with John F. Kennedy in the Rose Garden in August 1963, and to be picked out of the audience by him because I did look a bit like Jackie Kennedy at that time. So I had my moment of fame, and Bill Clinton was at Boys Nation that summer. I didn't meet him, but I know he referred to it several times during his presidency. And then 3 months later, Kennedy was killed. So I was invited back by the civic groups in my home state to talk about my day with Kennedy. I had already spoken to these groups with great joy when I had returned, but now it was anything but joy. And to be in a room full of adults, and I'm 16 years old, and for them to be sobbing and weeping over the death, televised. I think it was the first major assassination that had been televised, was pretty overwhelming for me. And it was during the 60s when we were all extremely political. The 60s, the way Time Magazine and Newsweek painted is that it was all sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And they always leave out the political, which I found the 60s to be incredibly political. We would discuss these things late into the night, taking long walks through big cities or on campuses. And we talk about the assassination, and we all knew that the CIA had been involved. We just didn't know who else had been involved. And so over the years, the decades after that, I, of course, was still pondering it when I began researching, deep research for a series of books I wrote called Sub Rosa America. And this is a series of 5 books. I didn't know it would take 1,500 pages to tell the story,
Wow.
but it basically tells the story of what has happened to America since John Kennedy's assassination, when not one of the perpetrators has served a day of time, and the only trial that was ever allowed was the trial of Clay Shaw in Dallas, which was a joke. And so I had to cut my teeth on the Kennedy assassination, like many researchers do, to see what had happened, what had really happened. And so that sort of set in motion this series that I wrote as I was working out my great sadness. I was raised by immigrants, so they told me it was the greatest country on earth. And I had to work out my own angst over the assassination and that one personal moment I had had with the president. And I'm still political, and somehow I've ended up in an amazing pivotal issue, which is the Chemtrails HAARP, ionospheric heater technology. And now I'm just finishing up for the same publisher, Feral House, the book, the sequel to that, which is on the space fence. Yet another big military wet dream of how control over planetary control, full spectrum dominance control, can be achieved. So when you were talking about the commodities and the mind reading that now your smartphone and your smart appliances, when everything around you is eavesdropping on anything said and anything done, and it's all being AI'd, artificial intelligence controlled. This is the world that we live in now. It is not in the future. It is now. And what I write about is very salient to this, because without the sky we now have, thanks to this technology I wrote the book about that you mentioned, we now have an ionized, battery-ready, antenna-like sky that can be used for manifold wireless operations, military, civilian. It doesn't matter anymore, because we're all under the control now of an electrical world, in a sense that the masters of that domain, the human domain that they are seeking.
Let's see. There's the chat room. Well, we may be back on air, folks. I'm not sure what happened there. I think this is a Sub Rosa deal, exactly what we were talking about. They're listening to us. That's obvious. But we are back on the air, and my internet just up and died. It just blacked out. It was like, wow, that's just obvious. That's strange. We're coming up on a break here. When we come back, Elana, we're going to finish kind of talking about what we were talking about, because we got cut off abruptly by those who were listening, the powers that shouldn't be, the elite, odious sycophants who are running the show. But I want to talk a little bit about Sub Rosa, because most people don't know what Sub Rosa is. So everybody, hold on. The Awakening Liberty Show is going to be right back with my guest, Elana Freeland.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
You're listening to Truth Frequency Radio.
We are TFR.
I'll bust it one time. Truth and liberty. Fighting the New World Order and the tyranny. The Awakening Liberty Show with Sean Carone.
And welcome back to segment number 2 of the Awakening Liberty Show right here on truthfrequencyradio.com. Your protection from deception all across America, all around the world. The number to call in is 866-37-TRUTH. Again, that number is 866-378-7884. I wish we had some protection against these scumbags who mess with our shows all the time. It's funny that we were talking about Sub Rosa. It's funny that we were talking about how this AI, this artificial intelligence, is tracking all of us, monitoring all of us, and then we're getting into a subject that they obviously don't want people to hear about. And I was just apologizing to Elana, and I apologize to everybody in the audience, the listening audience in the chat room. But Elana was saying this happens on nearly every show she's on.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
These people have they just have no scruples, do they?
I don't know. I tend to think it's sort of a message like maybe they're saying, oh, we like that. Or they're saying, oh, we didn't like that. I don't know which one they're saying. It's a form of communication, I suppose. Primitive communication.
Well, I guess we should wear it as a badge of honor. If we're talking about the truth and we're nailing the truth and they're interfering, then maybe that's the way it is. So we were talking a little bit beforehand about Sub Rosa. And could you explain to everybody what Sub Rosa means?
Well, it's a wonderful Latin phrase, and it means under the rose. And it goes back to the 1600s in the time of the Rosicrucian Enlightenment, when to go under the rose was a term of being hidden, of being cloistered, cloaked, so that what you were saying and doing would remain among those who were there. And I chose that title, Sub Rosa America, to really address the fact that everything since the National Security Act of 1947 is now a matter of national security state. And this is not a good thing. And that's why what's running America is what we all call the shadow government, or Peter Dale Scott, the UC Berkeley professor, calls it deep politics. And that's what I discovered during all those years of research, about a decade of research with many, many notes, is that the players in the Kennedy assassination arose over and over and over again in other hidden power-mongering events and shenanigans. And so I tend to think of America as now being run from the back rooms. It's not who you see out front. It's really who's in the back room and who's part of the brain banks and all the different networks that are running things.
Absolutely. And, you know, the term Sub Rosa, in fact, I worked for a private eye as a Sub Rosa agent for a while, and that's where I learned what Sub Rosa was. It wasn't a very pleasant experience, Elana. I sat in the back of a van with a camera and a 5-gallon bucket for long hours trying to watch my subject. But it's interesting, we see this happening today. And before the interruption, we were talking about the fact that this is not science fiction, that this is happening right now. This is not in the future. This is a reality in the present.
Yes, and it goes back to what you were saying, that it seems that the advertisements on the net seem to know what you want before you've even really decided that you're going to get something. And that comes from, I believe, maybe some much more invisible powers as well, but it definitely comes from all the smart appliances and the smartphones that people carry around. And I'm with you, I don't own one of them.
Yeah, I absolutely can't. And then we see all the predictive programming, which seems to be setting people up. I'm not sure if you watched it, but I actually watched the I don't know, the first 5 or 6 season of Person of Interest. I don't know if you've seen that show, but it is set in post 9/11 era, where a computer guy develops this artificial intelligence to monitor everybody and supposedly look for terrorists. But obviously they paint it in a light where he's actually trying to help people that the government deems irrelative, which is what it's all about. And they're actually getting information about people who are in danger, and they're going out and helping them. But this is all predictive programming to prepare people for this type of tyranny.
Yes, and don't be deceived. Years ago, I used to give lectures on a book that is still invaluable. It's called 4 Arguments for the Elimination of Television by Jerry Mander. And in there, Jerry Mander says, don't be fooled when you're watching television. It doesn't matter what the content is. It doesn't matter what the slant is. The fact is, you're watching television. And that to me is why I've never owned a television. I see a movie now and then, but beware of these very seductive shows. A lot of people think, why would they even talk about MKUltra? Why would they have Orphan Black on the television to talk about cloning? And aren't they hiding these things? Well, there's no better way to hide something than to turn it into entertainment.
Hidden in plain
I assure
sight.
you of that. Yeah, it's subtle. It's very subtle.
Yeah, and even the televisions these days, the smart TVs, I was spooked out when Samsung actually came out and says, look, be careful what you say in front of your television. Be careful about sensitive information because you are being monitored. And people didn't seem to care. And I'm like, what? Hello?
Yeah.
Zombie erectus. I mean, people are clamoring for this. And I'm starting to wonder if there isn't some sort of MKUltra experiment being perpetrated on all of us, maybe even through our televisions, through the flicker rates, the frame rates, the alpha and beta waves in the brain, where people are being dumbed down to the point where they're saying, "Oh, no big deal." I mean, I hear this all the time.
No, you're spot on. You are absolutely right on target with that. And how that's happening is, again, through the resonance. And in my book, in chapter 2, I break down the Bernard Eastland's 1987 patent for the high frequency active auroral research project, HAARP, up in Gakona, Alaska, the ionospheric heater that has had the greatest acronym ever, the niftiest ever. And so everybody thinks everything is just about that one thing. And now they've shut it down and pushed it off onto the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And so, good riddance. That's hardly the case.
That's
but in
the distraction.
In that chapter, I point out how Dr. Robert O. Becker, he wrote a book called The Body Electric, in which he talks about how our bodies are really electrical towers. They're like a cell tower. They're like a Gwen tower. Mm-hmm. And they receive and they transmit. And that includes our nervous system and our brain. So the fact that we resonate to different frequencies that are being pulsed around us, oh yes, they can go in and get they can change our potassium levels. Clifford Carnicom, the independent scientist who first exposed the relationship between the chemical trails above us and the biologicals, the genetically engineered biological known as Morgellons, being dropped on us to be breathed in on a nanoscale. Clifford made it clear that they were able to pulse a frequency in New Mexico where he was testing, and he had all of his instruments set up in order to see what would happen to our potassium levels. And so this is a done deal. I think large cities are being pulsed they can pulse it with violence. They can pulse it with, they could do equanimity, but I think what they want to do is depression. All sorts of emotions. Every emotion has its own frequency. And so I think you're right that people are like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. Let's just eat, drink, and be merry until the axe falls. I think that that's very much possible that we're being frequencied. The only good news that I can say to that is I do think that consciousness and the level of consciousness has a certain power over that. I know that I think back to years ago when I dated a doctor, and he said, you want to go to a hypnosis conference with me for MDs? And so he gave me a fake ID, and I went in. And lo and behold, who do they choose to bring up on stage to take them under hypnosis? Me. And the guy simply could not get me to go under. So I tend to think that part of the power of consciousness can actually prevent falling asleep under some of these frequencies being pulsed. I really do.
Well, and I hope so. And I think a lot of people need to start changing a lot of things that they're doing and putting into their bodies, because obviously we're under attack from a lot of different angles. One of my passions is health and wellness, Elana, particularly when it comes to vaccines, allopathic healthcare, the big pharma, big food, GMO foods. Are those related to what they are doing with this perpetual bombardment of Gwen radiation and Wi-Fi towers and HAARP radiation? Is this all inclusive? I mean, are they trying to make people sick? So again, that they go to the big pharma companies and they get all their medicines, and then obviously there's big profits being made. Is this all connected?
Oh, I think you're right. And yes, I think profits are part of it, a big part of it, but not at the nefarious, esoteric level I study. I study the CEOs and the boards and their interlocking relationships of dynastic families that have owned these corporations, particularly big pharma corporations, since before World War II. I think that they are heading toward a transhumanist future, and they have decided, they've put out a lot of disinformation about how we're all going to be chipped and that sort of thing, because really we're already being nanoed. Yeah. And the nanotechnology is the real hidden criminal factor here. This, I just finished writing a chapter on it for the Space Fence book, and I was even shocked the deeper in I went to it. Nanotechnology is a very unusual scale, and you'd think scale is just a quantity, but no, it has a different quality to it too. And so when I think of Monsanto with the GMOs, Monsanto is a very old corporation and was once run by a family back in the early 1900s, and it's gone through a variety of different things that it does for the government. And now it definitely is in bed with the ionospheric heater chemtrails crowd. And that would be through NASA, through NOAA, through the NSA. All of them are in league with this because they have the nanotechnology by the tail. And once you breathe in what's being delivered, whether you can eat it too in GMOs, but I'm sure that these nanoscale genetically engineered creatures are in us, and it's simply a matter of them being activated, and that would be remotely.
This nanotechnology, are we talking about bioorganisms, or are we actually talking about physical robotics?
Well, I think that just let's go through it step by step. There are three basic things that are being dropped by the chemical trails. The first would be the nanoscale conductive heavy metals. And I'm sure you've heard of aluminum, barium, strontium, well, add lithium and some others. There are quite a few that are both in the jet fuel that's being disseminated over us and dropped, sometimes even literally dropped when, I don't know if you know, but jets will often get rid of whatever excess fuel they have before they land, and it'll just go down on civilian areas. So you have the nanoscale conductive metals, and we've breathed those in. Now, think about it. Robert Becker said that we're basically towers, receivers, transmitters. Now we have heavy metals in us that are highly conductive. What can be done with that remotely? What can be done by triangulating off of a cell tower? This is huge. This is huge for not just biological health, but mental health. All right, then go to the next thing that's being dropped, polymers. This would be like mylar. And we're breathing those in on a nanoscale. And on those, glommed onto them from high in the atmosphere where these trails were laid, might be fungi that are from the upper atmosphere and are dropping down. And so we're breathing those in as well. And we're having a lot of people with chronic fatigue and various acidity-related illnesses. And the third thing is what Clifford Carnicom is most known for, is what is known as Morgellons, and he has named the cross-domain bacteria. And he has taken it apart. This is a 5-part, it's actually housed in a polymer shell, but it is a creature that crosses all 3 domains of life. So it's animal, mineral, a vegetable, and this creature has been programmed, because it was genetically engineered in a lab, to do a variety of things in the body, and it can be reprogrammed remotely. It does not need you in the doctor's office. And I think this is what we're going to see. We might as well add MK Ultra to the list, because what we're going to see is increasingly control over human beings through electromagnetics, pulsing of frequencies, biologicals being genetically engineered so that they're in us and they can be programmed or made to do things in our bodies remotely, so that we don't need the hospitals, we don't need the doctor's office, we don't need the prisons, because now they can get in your brain, they're programmed to go to your brain, and now they can speak directly to your brain. They can keep you targeted, they can keep you housed. I mean, this is the transhumanist future they have in mind for us. Let's be clear. We're not talking about enhancing us so that we can run faster and leap higher and have longer lives, maybe even be immortal. No, we're talking about planetary full spectrum dominance control. And this is why I fight so hard, or I write so fast, even though my greatest fear, Sean, is that people don't read anymore. They don't read. They watch clips. And that's alpha wave, my friends. That's not beta wave. That's not thinking. And this is our problem. So many people are in alpha wave. And don't like to be disturbed from it, because it's at least warm and cozy and sort of mom apple pie-ish, when really we need to really take back our thinking and our minds. And this can only be done, just like any athlete, this can only be done by weightlifting some thinking, weightlifting some books that you have to really cogitate over and digest. And, I'm writing these books because, well, shoot, it's what I do. It's what I do best. I'm not a filmmaker. I am a writer. I'm a teacher. And so my hope is that at least I will have witnessed in a couple of books what we're going through now. We're in an amazing transitional era. I mean, we've already entered the space age. There are space wars going on above us and debris falling that they call meteors. There is so much going on as we enter plasma physics, quantum physics, whatever you want to call it. And we are. I know it's hard to live in this time because you don't know what's what anymore, but I feel very fortunate to be alive now, to be able to witness the struggle, the beginning struggle of humanity to remain human, just to remain human and have a bit of a chance at free will before we're completely devoured by an AI system.
Yeah, my Christian beliefs tend to, they lead me to believe that those who are in charge, these ruling class Pharisees, as I call them, that their goal is to manipulate human DNA to the point that we are no longer human, we no longer have free will, and we no longer have the ability to critically think, Elana. And that is happening. I see that more and more and more. And it seems to become a lost art. And you know what? You're not a filmmaker. I am. So we need to hook up and you can do some writing. We should make a film.
Okay, well, you lead the way. I'm just over here writing. I also ghostwrite books for people and for money. That's how I make my living. And I'm actually ghostwriting a book right now for a targeted individual who is being mercilessly targeted by the NSA. In bed with another nation's equal agency. So, this is a horror beyond belief, how people are being used and exploited.
Yeah. Are they, how does HAARP tie into all of this? I mean, we know that it's a stratospheric heater. In fact, some of my research led me to believe that HAARP was actually initially used as an active missile defense shield by heating the stratosphere. And many people say that that's why we haven't had a full-scale nuclear exchange, because it won't work, because Russia has a HAARP system, China, Korea, and the United States. Was it used as an active missile defense shield initially?
Well, that's kind of a big mixed bag that you just told me. It's got quite a bit of truth in it, but it's sort of in the wrong place. What it is they're thinking of the SDI program, the Strategic Defense Initiative, which was the Star Wars program of the Reagan, Bush, Cheney troika back in the 80s. And then it went into the 90s and it was renamed the Ballistic Missile Program under Clinton. But the truth is it had been shelved because, yes, they wanted a shield. That was the idea, a shield. Not so much thinking of a shield against ICBMs as an actual space shield. So, let's not even go to why they would want a space shield at this point. But they were foreseeing space wars, for sure. And but they had a problem. They could not keep the atmosphere battery ready, antenna ready, electrical enough to be able to handle a wireless communication system that would keep everybody in touch, and that would include the AI that they had in mind for the future. So what happened is Bernard Eastlund came up with this very interesting idea about an ionospheric heater, building one that we already had them. There are several. In fact, there were two already in this hemisphere, but they didn't have the juice needed to really kind of look at how we could set up getting an energy system straight from the ionosphere and bring it down into the lower atmosphere so that we would have enough juice for what the military used to call C2, command and control. I mean, the military is built and reared on C2, but then it became C3, adding communications. And now it's C4, and that's command, control, communications, and cyber warfare. So they needed to electrify the lower atmosphere and then bring back the Star Wars programs and move it forward. Okay, so that's what HAARP did. HAARP was up and running for more years than we've been told, and it was taken down. It was finished in 2013. It was put to bed. They grabbed all their research that they got. They were very happy campers. They had gotten a lot out of the HAARP project. Of course, they had blown some holes in the ionosphere and the magnetosphere. Oh, but that's okay, because back in the 50s, they were blowing nuclear bombs up there to get rid of the Van Allen belts. So,
Operation Fishbowl.
Say it again?
Operation Fishbowl.
Yes. So they were prepared for some collateral damage. HAARP, we had some major hurricanes, major earthquakes, if you recall, while HAARP was up and running. And I make the case in my book that HAARP was involved in all of those.
I agree.
And,
Absolutely.
But it isn't just HAARP, because this is what's called interferometry. This has to be where HAARP is be able to steer a particular ray that's been brought down from the ionosphere, and it it has to cross swords with another ray on the Earth in the target area, in order to produce an event. And so that's what they were able to do. And HAARP sort of just got the ball rolling to get the ionospheric energy down here, because it had amazing juice, not just from what it's given in, like if you go to Wikipedia, but it could multiply that logarithmically. And so now we have an ionized atmosphere since HAARP, and that's the major coup that came out of HAARP, not a shield against the ICBM or any other missiles, because we are leaving the missile age, my friends. We are entering a space age, and this is an electromagnetic space age.
Elana,
The
hold on.
weapons
We're
are
going into break. Hold on, Elana. We're going to go into break here real quick. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this. But I just wanted to point out real quick, I'm not sure if it's coincidence that we had the SDI program initiated under Ronald Reagan. And if you look at the name Reagan, it's Ray Gun. I wonder if that's a coincidence. I don't know.
Right, good point.
The Awakening Liberty Show with my guest, Elana Freeland. We'll be right back. Everybody stay tuned.
Your protection from deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Hi, everyone. This is Sean from the Awakening Liberty Show. Are you and your family prepared for an emergency? Have you ever thought about investing in food and water storage? Well, if you have, I urge you to check out my one-stop prepper shop. AwakeningLibertyStore.com carries the full line of legacy premium, non-GMO, made-in-USA emergency food storage and survival gear. Folks, I've tried them all, and Legacy Premium is the best I've found. Boasting the lowest cost per pound, the lowest cost per calorie, and the largest serving size in the industry, Legacy Premium is simply the best. Not to mention it was voted best tasting in blind taste tests, and I personally concur. Shop AwakeningLibertyStore.com and use coupon code PATRIOT for a special listener discount, or call me personally at 775-276-4046. Once again, AwakeningLibertyStore.com.
And welcome back to hour number 2 of the Awakening Liberty Show right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Your protection from deception all across America, all around the world. The number to call in is 866-37-TRUTH. Again, that number is 866-378-7884. So if you got a question or for a comment for myself or my guest, feel free to join us. My guest today is Elana Freeland. She is the author of Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth. Absolutely interesting conversation. Some of these shows need to be longer than 2 hours. Fastest 2 hours in radio sometimes when we join up here on truthfrequencyradio.com. Elana, before the break, we were talking about HAARP and their connection to many of the earthquakes that we saw. Do you think that Fukushima, which personally, I look at it as there's a lot of saber rattling going on in the financial markets. In fact, we are in a financial war across the world. Do you think that obviously Chile, maybe Haiti, but do you think Fukushima may have been caused by a HAARP-induced earthquake resulting in the tsunami that destroyed the nuclear power plant?
Absolutely. And I do think you're right that there is always the financial piece. Got to always remember that, because there's weather now is a big money maker. Not only weather derivatives, but the insurance business, the assurance business, all the ionizing rain corporations that have burgeoned overnight like mushrooms, who are selling their services to drought destroyed nations and areas. It's a moneymaker, weather. And so when the military came out in the 90s with a document called Weather as a Force Multiplier under its Air Force 2025 study, they weren't kidding. I think the military has always wanted control over the weather. The weather has botched many a good general's plan for attack or defense. And now they have the control over the weather. But now they are weaponizing the control over the weather. This is weather engineering. This is geoengineering. And they have been running, in my opinion, and which I try to justify in my book, they have been running a variety of experiments because in order to control weather systems, that includes not just the jet stream, it includes the electrojet, it includes the ability to produce waveguides for the lasers that you might be using to generate some action in certain cloud formations and cloud movement. I mean, it's a very complex science, and the question that you and your listeners probably would be asking or should be asking is, what's the big secret? Why is this being so secretive? And why are they saying they're thinking about doing geoengineering when it's actually been going on a very high scale for about 20 years, 2 decades? The only answer I can give to that is that it's being used as a weapon, and I think Fukushima is a very excellent example, because you would look at it and go, well, why would America do that? Even if it was, exactly as I recall it, let's see, it was 45, that'd be 55. It was exactly 66 years since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Wow. How interesting that it would be 6/6. So, no, they wouldn't do that. No. They don't think that. They're practical people. They think in terms of threat. Yes, and we understand threat. Okay, so they're going to use the weather as a threat. But oh no, here they forced 3 earthquakes, all in rapid succession, with the third one undoing the Daiichi plant, and the fuel rods going nuts, and the whole ocean polluted, and I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and you would have to say, my God, these are psychopaths, and I do say that often.
And I do too. That's my common term for them, is the odious, sycophant, psychopath wackos. But people are so embedded into believing that these people have our best interests at heart. And of course, that is just, I mean, we got to stop being sheep, people. I mean, give me a break. I mean, again, we're going back to MK Ultra, and I'm still thinking, everybody's dumbed down for that reason, so that they don't, I mean, they just, they have our best interests at heart. They're not evil people, when in fact they are evil people.
Well, and yes, and I suppose I went through a phase where I sort of sneered at people that were like that when I was younger, but I've come to think yes, the mind control piece, the cognitive dissonance, that's the term you want. Everyone I meet, and I live in a town where nobody wants to hear from me. I've lost all my friends. Nobody wants to talk to me because I am Miss Bad News. And they don't understand where I've gone. I used to do some other things in the community. They loved me for that. Not this. No, not this. This is wacko. This is nuts. And you have to get used to the fact that when you start to really peel back the rugs and on the national security state, you're going to find things that most people not only don't want to know about, but feel helpless before. They feel helpless. And that's a thing an American hates to feel. Americans are some of the most pragmatic people on earth. But, and I have a big but, put that in capital letters, but they have grown weak in their comforts and their conveniences. And they are not willing to stop their government from having everything their government wants, and that includes the military. They simply will just turn their face away because the humiliation of having lost this country must drive them really crazy if they allow it in. And that's what I think is going on. They cannot allow it in because they will realize what we have lost. And I use past tense there. I have no hope of saving this country now. 20, 30 years ago, maybe, if there'd been any action. But this frequency being pulsed has been going on a long time, more than 10 years, more than 20 years. So we have the state is the way it's always been in history. A few people are awake. And they're going, hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. But now what I'm doing, instead of that, I'm not a cheerleader anymore. I'm trying to explain how that psychopathic mind works and how it sees everything, the life of the earth, the people on the planet, the animals, the loss of the whales, the loss of the bees, the loss of everything. It's all collateral damage. We serve the future, they say. We have in mind a future when we will have peace on earth. And, and you want to know, the first question you want to ask is, well, what do you have in mind for peace? Well, it's sort of like peace is slavery. It's
absolute serfdom.
What they have in mind, yes. And so, but I wanted, if I could, if you're ready, I want to go back to before your break. I wanted to finish something that I had started. I'm one of these obsessive people that has to finish everything they start. So
absolutely.
When I explained to you how the ionospheric heater technology works, especially HAARP, and how much they got out of it, and how our atmosphere now is basically an antenna. What I wanted to say is, yes, they got a lot of juice from the ionosphere, and they still are getting juice from the ionosphere, but they brought so much juice down, and that's when they had all those major weather things, Fukushima, the hurricanes down in the Caribbean, Katrina, Sandy up in New York Harbor. All of these had a variety of agendas attached to them. They had several things they wanted to accomplish, not just to make them happen and make the damage happen so well that Halliburton and all of Dick Cheney's friends could come in and rebuild these places and get rid of all the poor people that were living near the harbors and get some people in there that had some money. Not just that. They had other things in mind, and that's where the Fukushima thing comes in. And this is probably the hardest to swallow because this is evil incarnate. They wanted that radiation released. They wanted it released because they want to study who and how will be able to evolve with the radiation. And today I was driving my grandson to Seattle before the interview, and I was telling him about this. He's a very cool 15-year-old. I was telling him about my thoughts on radiation and how some people would like to see if we can evolve special abilities with radiation or special even physical traits. And he said, "Oh, yeah, you mean like the X-Men." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Yeah, I do mean like the X-Men. Yeah, that's the predictive programming going on for the young generations, is how they're radiated, and then they develop these cool skills that can save people and save the planet and save whatever." So, yeah, that's what I see going on. And Loren Murray and Christina Consolo have done some amazing video interviews about one place where you can see this happening is in jet flights, and it's called the Wigner effect, Wigner effect. So I've studied their work because I've written about it in this next book. And what it is how the airline industry is noticing not only are there pilots and stewardesses and frequent flyers getting sick beyond belief and dying from radiation related illnesses, but their jets are falling apart. And that's the Wigner effect. The jets, the joints, all the different components of the jets. The radiation, at the higher you go, the more radiation. I don't know if you know that, but it certainly has made me think twice about flying. So imagine psychopaths who not only will trash an entire nation, but will hope that the radiation will give some good data on what happens to people over time. I mean, Chernobyl was not good enough. 3 Mile Island was not good enough. Now we have the new thing since Chernobyl. We have an ionized atmosphere. And the synergistic effects of the heavy metals and whatever else is up there with the ionization going on of all these ions zapping around and producing heat. You wanted to know what's causing global warming? Well, this is it. This is the heat. The heat from the ionized atmosphere is real. And they want to see what happens with radiation. And they're taking notes.
We're a bunch of unknowingly, we're just being lab rats. I mean, they're using us as lab rats. That is the ultimate of evil. And then these people on the left and even on the right talking about environmental issues, that's just a pure audacity, especially when many of these people know exactly what's going on and they're participating in it. That just burns me up, Elana. It just absolutely burns me up.
Well, some of them are complicit. You're right. Like Greenpeace. I could prove to you that some Greenpeace outlets around the world are complicit. Some are not. And some are just, I don't know, I guess they don't know how to think or doubt. I mean, the fact that you can easily find fact after fact after fact of what the U.S. military has done to its people and how it has used its people for varying tests, of chemical tests, chemical warfare, biological warfare, syphilis tests, you name it. We are the lab rats. We've been the lab rats for at least 50 or 60 years. So I guess we're used to it. And we don't seem to notice that people are sicker than ever, and that the medical industry only makes money off of sickness.
Absolutely.
And so, well, gee whiz, they couldn't be making us sick, could they? Yeah, they could. So it's a matter of living like a paranoid. I always say to people who say to me, "Oh, Elana, you're paranoid." I say, "Yeah, it's my sixth sense now." Right. It's what I cling to give me the canary in the coal mine news, so that I wake the heck up and do what I'm best at, which is thinking. You know, I mean, we are human beings. You can't feel your way through this. Oh, it's not good news. I don't want to pay attention to, you know what? I don't care how you feel. And please don't send blankets to the Iraqis after allowing our military to bomb 32,000 people
Amen.
in just one city. Do not talk to me about sending blankets. We have powers and privileges as a human being. And that's what they want to get rid of in us. They do not want that. And who's they? Okay, let me tell you who they is. Dynastic families that control old corporations, Satanists, pedophiles who can only think of one thing, and corporate defense corporations. They run our country. That's what Eisenhower, in my mind, very with his tail between his legs, running out through the exits under the exit sign, finally told us, hey, you know what? You do well if you think about the military-industrial complex. Well, Ike, why didn't you tell us that from the golf course for the last 8 years? Why did you wait until you were on your way out to warn us of what had already taken over in the United States? And that's defense corporations.
Absolutely.
War is a business, and it isn't just the business of money that they want. We got to get that through our heads, even the people who are not spiritual, and I'm very spiritual, it's also about the destiny of humanity. There are people who do not want it to have certain destiny. They want another destiny in which they'll still be the kingpins. And they have had to really dance fast in this era. I'm sure you've noticed, Sean, the disinformation and the lies and the deceit and the crimes and the assassinations of people have gone off the charts. Why? I feel it's because people are waking up. People are not able to sleep comfortably anymore. They're tossing and turning in their unconsciousness. And that is great news, because this is an era of consciousness, and we must use it while it is here, or we're going to lose it, period.
Absolutely. Elana, the call boards are lighting up here. I've got some callers on the line. I'm going to take a couple of them here. We've got Las Vegas, Nevada, area code 702, Las Vegas, Nevada. You are live on the Awakening Liberty Show. How are you doing today?
Well, I thank you, Sean, and I certainly want to give you accolades for your choice of guest today. Elana is so well-informed, so articulate, and so spot on just about everything I've heard come out of her elucidations today that I am really grateful that you brought her to us as a gift.
Well, it's my pleasure. I wrote so much about Elana. I said I got to get her on the show, and it's great to have her.
Well, and thank you to the caller. I mean, it takes one to know one. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Did you have a question?
I wanted to share a couple of observations that you've both been talking about that I don't think you might be aware of. It's what I would call higher knowledge from higher sources that I'm able to provide this to you. And you've mentioned the term MK Ultra at least 3 times since I've been listening, and I was a little late coming in. And I would submit that there's a secret meaning incorporated within that references that it's from the master's cult of Ra, the sun god.
Yeah.
Well,
it's right before your eyes.
Yeah, the cult of Ra, I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but in my Sub Rosa America books, I do talk a lot about Freemasons.
Well, and the Illuminati, the Freemasonries, the ancient cults of the crafts of the guild, the stonemasons, where they all supposedly emanate from. Of course, they've been on the planet for many thousands of years, even before the pyramids, as have been testified by the ancient archaeology projects, Göbekli Tepe, the pyramids in South America, the other ones in the Middle East and Mesopotamia that we're just discovering, Baalbek and so on and so forth, the first and second temples of Sol-Amon, God, man of the sun, or man, God, as sun, as the case may be. There are some other terms that we use frequently, I think, that fit right in with your conversation, such as we hear the term chaos, which is the assembly of the worshippers of Osiris, and crisis, which is the cry of Isis for war, added infinitum, which she is the goddess of death, destruction, sexuality, and basically destroying everything.
But if I could interject here, I don't want to go too far in that direction. I appreciate your insight about the higher powers involved, and I am certainly not one to say that they are not involved, but I will say this. I am concentrating on the business at hand and beware of distractions.
Well, very good. I'll go back to your former conversation relative to HAARP, and it's my suggestion, rather than it going away, it's just reformed and put into higher, perhaps more mobile technologies. We know they had platforms that were seaworthy, that they moved around. It suggested that Haiti was very much treated that, like
right.
some of the South American Chilean.
You're right, and those are
also,
those are the XBSs, the SBXs that you're talking about, and you are right. It is not just HAARP. What's happened is everything has been recalibrated to operate. All the HAARP, all the ionospheric installations, all of the radio observatories, all of the SBXs, all of the NEXRADs across the country, all of the cell towers, the Gwen towers, everything has been recalibrated to operate as one giant machine, and they are able to use it to create weather events that actually the energy from the weather events is what keeps the ionized atmosphere completely electrified and able to respond to military C4 operations.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Yeah, I think the whole deception about HAARP being shut down or being transferred was a deception. In fact, I think it's still being used. That's my personal opinion, but it's probably gone onto a far more technological level. Thank you for your call, Las Vegas, Nevada. Imlay City, Michigan, area code 810. You are live on the Awakening Liberty Show with Elana Freeland. You got about 2 minutes.
Excellent show again, Sean. You are it's amazing the guests you're having. You guys are awesome. But yeah, I agree. HAARP is still up and running. Everybody's got a HAARP. China, Russia. There's one on the equator. They're all over the place. And the gal wrote a book called HAARP, Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Domination of Planet Earth, where HAARP, the chemtrails, the fracking, and oil wells that are 7,285 feet deep are all antennas, and all the windmill farms are all antennas, and they are superheating the ionosphere, just boiling us with these watts, billions of watts of electricity, and they are building a space fence now. She wrote a book. She's writing a book. Space Fence, and I can't remember her last name, but one of your proteges on another show.
That's
a ghost book. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I'm thinking of
what's
hiring
your last name?
I'm thinking of hiring you as my PR agent.
I love it. You know what? I texted that show out when you were on with Kev Baker. I've got about 250 people in my phone. I'm legally blind. I can't use a computer, but I listen to these shows, and I whenever I hear something that I know is real, and I know you are so real, and everything that you're putting out there, God bless you for your work. Thank you so much. But I have texted that out. And again, my brother's been telling me since I was a little kid. I'm 57 years old now. We are dumbed down, mind-controlled lab rats.
Absolutely.
People have no clue what the hell is going on out there. And when you try and talk to them about it, they look at you like you're a cyclops. Go ahead.
From outer space. I got to cut you off because we're going into a break here. Great conversation with Elana Freeland,
Sean, can
author.
I ask you?
We're going into break. I'll bring you back on the second segment, okay?
The phone systems aren't working. I can't listen to the show unless I listen on your call-in line.
I'll leave you on.
Listening?
Yes,
You're
I'll
awesome.
leave you on.
Thanks, brother.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
are TFR.
My faith in destiny is all I need to prevail.
Truth Frequency Radio.
I'll bust it one time. Truth and liberty. Fighting the New World Order and the tyranny. The Awakening Liberty Show with Sean Carone.
And welcome back to the final segment of the Awakening Liberty Show right here on truthfrequencyradio.com. Got callers on the call board. We're going to get to you in just a minute, so hang tight. Real quick, I want to mention awakeninglibertyshow.com. Again, awakeninglibertyshow.com. Stop by and check out the full calendar of upcoming guests. Next Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, we've got Daniel Duvall. We're going to be talking about several of his books. He's written so many of them, Parallel Dimensions in the Spirit Realm. We're going to be talking to him about that, and we're going to be getting into what's going on with end-time prophecy and the fact that everything is just, there's so many things that are happening in the world that are directly correlating to biblical prophecy, and I find that extremely interesting, being a Christian myself. Also on Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific time, Bill Bean, the spiritual warrior. He is he's come to fame talking about his childhood in a haunted house. So we're going to be talking about A Haunting, the series he did on Discovery Channel. It's absolutely fascinating, and we're going to be talking again about people being controlled by what I call unseen forces. Many people will call them paranormal events or ghosts. I actually call them demonic entities. And in reference to what Elena was speaking about earlier, and the fact that we are in these space wars already, as a Christian, I have a tendency not to believe that these are from beings from other galaxies and other planets, but I do believe that there is an interdimensional space war going on, the beginning of Armageddon, the beginning of what the Bible tells us about. That's where my belief is, and I do believe that they are seriously trying to find a way to prevent what happened in Genesis 6, as we talked with Gary Wayne yesterday, and what God has in store for all of us and the Creator in the universe. We all got to come back to our spiritual sense and get connected to Him again. Elena, it's so great to have you on the show. We've got more callers. Can we go ahead and take the call boards?
Absolutely.
All right. We've got area code 208, in Idaho. You are live on the Awakening Liberty Show. How are you today, caller?
Hi, Sean. Hi, Elena. Elena, I called in about Harold Krautz-Vila's book when you were being interviewed by Deanna months ago. I just heard your voice, and I kind of just thought about adding some more information. Did you ever get a chance to get that Dangerous Imagination Sound Assimilation book on Kindle to read through? On the ferromagnetic...
You mean the book by Harold Krautz-Vila and
correct, yes,
and St. Louis?
Yeah, I called in about section 4.4. Here's a couple other items I wanted to give to you. Okay, the on the 4K TVs these days, the government has increased the bandwidth on the televisions for infrasound. Okay, the infrasound is essentially intended to modulate Harold's piezoelectric crystals to basically do a mind-numbing effect and essentially make the back of the spine. You know how his methodology is for the energy being stolen, so that the front of the brain is basically not functioning. And essentially, you get this white noise sort of effect inside the brainstem by making the whole head vibrate like the original military helmets that the military had, the bone conducting helmets.
Right.
Yeah, this has a lot to relate to
make
the
a brain
pineal
fog
gland as well, because that's what they're trying to do is manipulate the pineal gland and get it vibrating at a different frequency. And infrasound, you're right up my alley, caller, because I'm an audio engineer, and I know how sound can affect things. Absolutely, you're right on target.
So if you the important thing is if you can look at the bandwidth change on the 4K TVs for the infrasound, because it's not useful for anything except vibrating the bones. Then the next thing is to look at GNA that came out of Pennsylvania State University. It's the synthetic. There's DNA, RNA, and GNA was created in 2005 by the Penn State University. Synthetic dudes. All right. If you mix that with what Harold was doing and AF 2400 and the stuff coming out of the aerosols on the chemtrails, that's essentially the modified, real important items that are going on for the ferromagnetic rewiring. So those are just a couple of items, I think, if you get a chance to look at them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you, caller. We got to move on the call board here. But Elana, I want to ask you what your thoughts are on infrasound and the fact that, I mean, are they using Gwen, HAARP, all of this in conjunction with the heavy metals in the environment, obviously making people into antennas? Are they making people more susceptible? I mean, we hear stories all over the place of people being they're tormented by low-frequency sounds, high-frequency sounds. Is this part of the overall agenda and conspiracy?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no question in my mind. The problem is it's so complex for people to think out, and they don't have the list of the frequencies and the pulses that do this, that, or the other. So, this makes people who can do that very valuable to us, who can think through those things.
And I've had to do that myself, Elana. In fact, I deal with tinnitus or tinnitus or whatever you want to call it, how it's pronounced. I have high ringing in my ear, and I am very, very influenced by frequencies. And having been a musician most of my life, I understand how those frequencies work. In fact, much of my research has gone down into the change in frequencies and the change in the hertz as far as tuning instruments, and then all of the pop culture music today also having an effect on people as well.
Oh, yeah, the 432 hertz. You should turn off your router at night. If you have Wi-Fi, you should turn the router off.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, my wife and I have been talking a lot about that because we're concerned. In fact, before the end of the show, I really want to get into how we can protect ourselves. Allendale, South Carolina, again, Allendale, South Carolina, area code 803. You are live on the Awakening Liberty Show with Elana Freeland. How are you today?
I'm great. Did I make it on?
Yeah, you're on. You're live.
Awesome. What's up, Elana? This is Jim Lee. How you doing?
It was Jim. Hey, one of my most favorite.
Great show, Elana.
Oh, good. Good, Jim.
I just wanted to say, great show. I love Elana. I want to tell everybody out there, I've been talking to Elana for quite a while. She's very open-minded. She never discounts anything until she looks at it. And her last book was amazing. The next one, you better be sitting down when you read it. Just so everybody knows, I'm Jim Lee from climateviewer.com and climateviewer.org. I actually mapped all of the ionospheric heaters in the world in 3D.
Yes.
So you guys go check that stuff out. It's on climateviewer.org. But Elana is amazing. And she's really covering the gamut, from the space sense to how it affects our bodies and brains. And I heard you guys just talking about mind war. So I'm going to drop a nugget and I'll get out of your way. I know you got other people to talk to. But infrasound does affect your brain. The Russian government even went so far as to say that HAARP is definitely a mind control weapon, that it could affect the mental health of the entire country. And the reason it does that is because it creates ELF waves. And ELF waves entrain with your brain and can do anything from make you passive to very aggressive. And of course, she is right about the turning your router off, electrical impulses from your cell phone, from your LED TV, the blue light from your LED TV. All of this frequency affects your body and your hormone production. Yep. So unplug, turn it off, get good sleep. Love you, Elana.
Love you. Bye, Jim.
That's great. Jim,
Bye,
Jim, before you go,
yes,
you and I need to hook up. It's climateviewer.org again, climateviewer.org. Is that what you said?
.com.
Yeah, that's one of them. It's .com and .org. .com, I have all my research. I have the most unique research on geoengineering, HAARP, weather modification. I have timelines that I've created, just the New World Order, EMF, health effects, and that's on .com, on .org. I map things out and I make apps for activists. So there's 2 maps in the timeline on there so far. Fun stuff.
Awesome. Jim, send me a email to Sean at awakeninglibertyshow.com. Again, Sean, S-E-A-N. S-E-A-N.
Yeah, how about Elana will give you... Elana, give him my phone number.
Okay, will do.
Gotcha. Thank you, Jim,
Love you
for
guys.
calling.
I'm gonna go back to listening now. Keep it up, guys. Great show.
Awesome. Thank you so much for calling in. We've got Manhattan, Kansas, area code 785. Again, Manhattan, Kansas. You are live on the Awakening Liberty Show. How are you doing today?
Well, howdy, John. Howdy, Elana.
Howdy.
I prefer Elana, of course.
Yes, that's the real one.
Oh, am I pronouncing it wrong? Oh no, I did it again.
Okay. I'm used to it. Billy, is that you?
Let me introduce myself. I'm Hayes from Hayes, Kansas.
Yeah, this is Billy Hayes. This is the HAARP man. All my friends are calling in. Yeah.
Well, it's a very interesting show, y'all, and you need any help, just give me a yell.
Thanks, Billy.
Okay, love to y'all.
All right.
Thank you so
maybe
much.
We can hook up with, maybe we can do a Jim, Elana, and Bill show with you, Sean.
Let's do that. We'll schedule something out here. I'm booked until mid-October, but towards late October, let's do another one.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm still alive. Right, Elana?
Yes, Billy.
Hopefully the internet will still be around. They're saying in October they're going to shut it all off. So
get the rope. Get the rope.
Get the rope.
Well, let me make a comment here for y'all. One of the attritions to these signals that we're feeling and we're hearing and seeing is the fact that they've been around for a long time, but not in combination with what we have now. Things like diatherm machines, MRI machines, ultrasound machines, all these machines that they use in hospitals cannot be used anywhere near an air base or any of these transmitters because they interfere with each other. There have been, for instance, Walter Reed. I just came from Walter Reed Hospital. They have a big problem there with the location of Walter Reed compared with Boeing and Andrews, who do have transmitters on base.
Yeah.
And they interfere with each other to the point that they are detrimental to the health of a person that is undergoing treatments.
Yeah.
Because it emphasizes these signals so much. We're talking about MRIs compensating up to 100 times of what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, they're messing with everything, and I am convinced that not only is obviously we're talking a lot about profit and the businesses and the terrestrial reasons for them doing this, and it all comes back to money. And I'm unequivocally convinced that the big pharma, big food, the chemtrail projects are all tied into keeping us sick, obviously for more profit, make people sick, and as you so well put, and my friend Dr. Vic Namoff he basically poses the question in his book, Generation Sick. I definitely recommend it. If you owned a business that only made a profit when people were sick, what incentive would you have to keep people healthy? I think that all plays in, don't you, Elena?
Oh, yeah. That's that story. I mean, I haven't been to a doctor since I was 13. I don't do doctors.
I won't go to a doctor unless I'm dying either. Hey, Bill, thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it. And yes, we will have to hook up and do a show.
Okay, later, Gators.
Bye.
In a while, bye-bye.
Let's talk a little bit about protection, Elena, and what we can do. We have a mutual friend, Vanity Styles, who actually recommended you to me, and I started looking at what you were doing in your work, and I said, I got to get her on the show. She's suffering with Morgellons, and other people, like I said, people are just being tormented by these frequencies and all of these inputs. And then again, I see people who are being affected in what they call a mental illness. They may be hearing voices or they're experiencing anxiety. I think this is all connected. And again, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here, but again, it's going back to big pharma and all the medicines that they give us, which just keep us sick as well. What can we do to protect ourselves?
Well, for the Morgellons, which I feel I do know some things. I spent time with Clifford Carnicom, and I highly recommend that people go and visit his site, carnicominstitute.org, CARNICOM. I was friends with Clifford in New Mexico, and he's really responsible for getting me involved in looking at this chemical trails issue. Clifford was he used to work for the DOD and the BLM, and he was a scientist for them. And then he realized the direction they were going and he wanted to go were entirely different. So he works on his own now. And he collected my spit, my saliva, and my blood. and we submitted them to a microscope, and I saw that in myself, despite the fact that I don't have lesions like many Morgellons sufferers do, I have the creature in me. And I watched it eating the iron out of my red blood cells. So that was a real wake-up call that, this is not just a disease you catch. This is a disease you breathe from your own atmosphere that has been completely taken over. So I talked with Clifford Lotz, and I read his site papers. He has over 100 scientific papers at his site. And I wrote chapter 8 of the book about Clifford's work. He isn't the only person working with Morgellons by any means, but I am familiar with Clifford, and he is a painstaking scientist to do experiments over and over and over until he's sure that they're accurate. He tried to get the CDC and the EPA to look at his experiments and to duplicate them. But they basically did not respond to him. And yet at his website, you can see he has a really cool place where you can look and see that over 189 alphabet letter agencies of the U.S. government were sneaking onto his site to see what he'd come up with most recently. So he's the guy to read about that particular condition that is being broadcast from the chemical trails. My suggestion to people is eat alkaline. Get some pH paper, pee on it in the morning, see where you're at. And remember, disease loves acidity. The Morgellons, the cross-domain bacteria, loves acidity. And you make your blood alkaline, these creatures cannot grow. They cannot reproduce. They go into stasis. Is there any way to kill the Morgellons? Not that I know of, and not that Clifford knows of, but you can easily control it if you control the acidity alkaline factor of your blood. And so with that said, I just want to say that I eat healthy. I've been eating a lot of whole grains, vegetables, miso soup, seaweed, beans. I chew carefully. I'm not religious. I don't eat that way every now and then. I buy a bag of chips now and then and make myself sick by eating the whole bag. So I highly recommend that you look at your food, at your lifestyle, that you begin to not have any junk food whatsoever, no GMOs, and that you eat well and invest in yourself. Because I personally, I haven't needed to go to a doctor because I studied health and have applied that to myself. But on the other hand, I am glad a hospital and an ER is there in case I end up all broken up on the freeway from an accident. They're good bone menders. They can keep you alive on machines and drugs when maybe you would have slipped through the crack between the worlds. I'm glad they're there, but this profit mongering, I will not support it at all.
Absolutely. I'm in the same boat there. I have no faith whatsoever in allopathic healthcare. I have no faith in that industry. I have all the faith in the world in surgeons, trauma surgeons, people working in the emergency rooms. They know what they are doing, and they do it with such skill. It absolutely amazes me. You know, my son was born with a hole in his heart, and his surgeons were absolutely incredible. They fixed him right up. He's just doing great. They said he had a heart defect. He doesn't anymore, and my gratitude to God for that is absolutely amazing, off the hook. You know, somebody was talking to me about detoxing with Morgellons and nanobuckets, basically taking a detox bath that include things like borax, vinegar, Epsom salts. Have you heard anything about that?
Yes, I have one. I built one. And the problem is I built it too small for my big feet, but I can kind of squeeze them in there if I really try. Yes, I have one. It's an ionizing foot bath is what it is. And what it does is the electricity, which is very minimal, draws the whatever they are toward the feet. And I know people who are doing it on a regular basis and getting different different things coming out of the feet each time they do it. And it seems like it's going a deeper and deeper and deeper level the more they use it. I've only done it twice, and I will continue doing it. The first time I did it, I got a lot of little tiny glitter, and I assumed that was barium, but I don't know. So, I highly recommend that. I'm glad you reminded me of it.
Yeah, the nano bucket sounded very interesting to me. In fact, we use borax on a lot of things, and actually some of my friends are going, I've never heard of that, but it's right there on the shelf, folks. And what Elana is saying, obviously, also is change your eating habits. Do you have a Trader Joe's up there in Washington?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where we shop, and it's by far and away the food is so much different tasting. If I go, I can't even go into a regular supermarket and buy anything because it makes me sick.
Right. I shop at the Olympia Food Co-op, and it's stayed pretty pure all these years. So I only eat organic. I do recommend that, even though many organic farms are under the sky, and they are now catching all the stuff that's being dropped. So if you're an organic gardener, I'm recommending to people to build some covered garden areas. That would help a bit. Yeah. AwakeningLibertyStore.com. I'm going to shamelessly plug my store, Emergency eFood, but we also are partnered with Arctic Dome greenhouses. These are frequency domes, and you can build these relatively cheap. They're easy to put up. You can start growing your own food. And I highly agree with James Freed. We need to start growing our food and taking better care of ourselves. That's absolutely essential. And again, I mean, I go to Trader Joe's because they source everything pretty well, and I recommend the store for organics. But also, obviously, the co-ops were great as well. Great. Yes, and I can't make any other recommendations at this point.
How about some people say that certain types of stones, certain types of rocks and crystals can help as well. Is that true?
Well, I have a friend who is a rock expert, and I do what she tells me to because I'm absolutely ignorant. Right here at my computer, I have approximately 7 or 8 stones all around the computer to ameliorate the radiation that I get from spending hours and hours and hours at the computer. Yes, I completely believe crystals are transmitters. I mean, of course, the crystalline structures in rocks are going to have a tremendous power. And then there's the grounding thing, too, of going out and walking barefoot on the earth. I think that what we want to get clear to people is that we can't wait for a savior to come now and save us from this technology. We need to take those steps ourselves on a daily level and try to be as little technical about it as we can possibly be. That's the way I'm going.
Yeah, biblically, I believe in Corinthians, it talks about we are one with the Spirit and we are the temple of God. In fact, He exists within us, and it is our job to maintain that temple. And it says, he who destroyeth his temple will actually be destroyed and will die. And I think that I guess that concerns me so much because people are willingly going to Burger King, willingly going to McDonald's. They're willingly going and eating all these processed foods. They're willingly submitting themselves to GMO foods, Roundup and Monsanto products. And, you're destroying your temple. We've got to start doing this. We've got to start saving ourselves because many Christians are looking above saying, when are you going to come down here and fix this? I have a tendency to believe that the Creator, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is looking down at us and saying, when are you going to fix this mess?
Well, and to answer to them, we are intended to be free will beings, and in my mind, that's why we will not be saved and plucked out. We must find a way to use our free will. That's why we're here, and we have plenty of help on the other side if we want to call upon it. But to wait for something or someone to save us is a real, to me, it's sort of like that wonderful parable about the gifts. If you don't use your gifts, then when the master returns home, he will say, why did you not use your gifts? So that's how I see it.
Yeah, I look at it from the obviously the perspective of Ezekiel 33:6 too as well. I'm a watchman, and I'm trying to warn my fellow brethren. We're running out of time here, Elana. Yes. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Please give out your websites and where they can get your book.
Okay, for my book, Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum Dominance of Planet Earth, you can get it at Amazon, or you can order directly from the publisher at Feral House, Feral House. I did have a kind of website I wanted to develop, but I haven't had any time. So please visit me on Facebook. It's I have my regular home site, Elana Freeland, that I don't pay much attention to. And then I have 2 closed groups that you have to ask for permission to join. They're called Elana Freeland, Chemtrails, HAARP, and the Full Spectrum. And then the other one is more along the Sub Rosa America lines, and that one is called Elana Freeland, Sub Rosa America. Please feel free to join us. We have some interesting conversations on there, and please do read the book so you'll understand this technology and what we're up against.
Thank you so much for joining me again today, Elana. I mean, it's absolutely fabulous show. You were well received in the chat room. Everybody says she's a big hit. So everybody tune in next Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific for Daniel Duvall, Parallel Dimensions, The Spirit Realm, and then Bill Bean on Sunday at 2 p.m. The Spiritual Warrior will be talking about exorcism and demonic possession. Everybody, may God bless you and keep you all until then.
Thank you, Sean. Bye.
Bye-bye.